What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Play Legit podcast, the premier podcast for gaming and real talk. We are your hosts, Koerri, Elijah, and KJ. KJ, what's going on, man?
This is number 25, man. Just we rebooted the podcast. Isn't that pretty cool? 25.
Yeah, man. We are a quarter of the way through this century of episodes that we got going on, man. So yeah, it's gone by quick. That's 25 episodes. That's 25 weeks of the podcast. So yeah, man, that's about almost half a year. That's about half a year almost. So next week will be officially half of year. So maybe that'll be a special episode. Well, it's gonna be, every episode is a special episode. So but before we get into what we're gonna be talking about today, man, let's make sure everybody checks out playlegit.net, because that's the home, that's the hub, that's the place where you're gonna find everything related to gaming and real talk. We have the show there, of course, the Play Legit podcast, as well as a bunch of original articles and reviews up on the site. You want to check out our article that we have up about Shakedown Hawaii up on the site right now, as well as everything else that we have up there. Tons of great content on the site, but you also want to check out Play Legit Network on YouTube. That's where we house the video formatted podcasts, as well as video reviews, original content, tons of different Play Legit originals that we have up there. Funny
Hit that
stuff
subscribe button.
Hit that subscribe button. Hit the little bell too, the notification bell, so you know whenever we upload new content to that. And also check out Play Legit, the Play Legit podcast on iTunes, as well as Spotify and all of your other major podcasting platforms. You can make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you can keep us in your ears, even if you're on the
follow button on Spotify.
Hit that follow button. Listen to us on your run, while you're working, while you're in the garden, whatever it may be, or even while you're playing games and you just want to hear about games while you play games. Get the gameception going on. Subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate all the love and support from everyone. And, keep it legit, guys, because that's what we're doing here. But today, it's going to be a great show. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about for you, from free co-op in Ghost of Tsushima, the indie games spotlight that we always have, our recognized segment here on the show. We got some great stuff from Nintendo to talk about. I'm going to be giving a review of Skater XL, and we're going to get into the whole fiasco between Apple, Google Play, and Epic Games. So it's going to be a great show. And capping it all off, we're going to get into new information that we received from Ghost of Tsushima free co-op. What's that all about, KJ?
Yeah, it's going to be a 4-player cooperative, and there's going to be different styles of warriors that you can pick. And this is going more in the mystical type of venue, because you're going to be taking on like special demons and all kind of stuff going on. So that's a pretty big departure from the main storyline of Ghost of Tsushima. But I like that they're trying something different and new, and the fact that if the co-op is if the combat is as smooth as it was in single player, if it translates well over the web, I think that we're going to have ourselves a fun co-op. And the fact that it's free, and another thing that stood out to me is there are no microtransactions whatsoever. So that's really awesome. And I want to say, though, what I've been noticing, this is a trend that I've been noticing. I don't know if I like it or dislike it, where I'm at on the fence with it. What I've been noticing is that a lot of the big time games, they will release a game and then have the multiplayer later on. And I'm thinking that maybe they do that so that the scores on their games aren't affected, because sometimes I'm telling you right now, I will take down full scores on games when their online is trash. I will take down a score. So I think to avoid that, a lot of times what we're seeing now is they're just saying, okay, we know what we got here. We're sitting on gold with the main game, so we'll just push that out. So we'll let the scores rack up real nice. Oh yeah, by the way, we got co-op too, but don't worry about that. But we got that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And it's funny because that's like, it's an it's easy to get away with that because you could always just be like, oh, well, we wanted to have a complete game for you to play, a full single player experience. And then we worked on the multiplayer afterwards, you know? Now with Ghost of Tsushima, it's kind of hard for them to kind of just be like, hey, like we just made this because the game's come out so recently. But I mean, I'm expecting a multiplayer for The Last of Us Part 2 at some point because there was a multiplayer for The Last of Us. So I mean, them taking like a gap of time, it kind of gives them the perception that, hey, maybe we were just working on it after we put the game out. But with Ghosts, it's kind of like, hey man, like you guys clearly probably had this in the tuck. So I mean, I think you're onto something with your theory. Honestly, it would make sense. It would make sense, especially we're dealing with corporations. They care about how it looks in image and all of that stuff for when it comes to funding for new games and new IPs. So I think you're right. I think you're onto something, KJ.
Yeah, man. And again, like, if the game is legit without it, then I'm cool. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 was fantastic. I mean, that game is one of the best games I think available. So I was already very satisfied. And then they're like, but you knew that the multiplayer wasn't ready right away. And then when it came out later, I'll say that there were some things about the multiplayer where I was like, oh man, this is okay, or this is really awesome, or I didn't have any of those kind of wishy-washy feelings with the main game of Red Dead. So I think it's hey man, if the game is initially really good, I think it's a good power move, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Hey, if I was in their shoes, I might make the same decision, just, so I agree. It is a good power move. But that brings up the question, like, should we start having separate reviews for just the online? Do you think I imagine some other companies may do that, but should this be pushed to the forefront? Like if the online comes out separately, have a completely separate online only review and treat the online mode as if it's a completely separate game, almost like GTA Online is pretty much a completely separate game. I think that'd be fair. But yeah, I'm interested to see what this free co-op's going to look like from Ghost of Tsushima. As soon as you said it, like 4-player co-op with like mystical abilities and stuff, I was like, oh, like Gauntlet Legends kind of, or something maybe. So I always liked that game. I always thought that was kind of fun. So it might be dope. They might have me. I'm already looking to pick the game up anyways. So this just gives me another reason to add it to my arsenal.
Player one needs food badly.
So let's keep things moving, man. So Shakedown Hawaii. So this we have I believe there's a review up on the site for Shakedown Hawaii right now, but the reason we wanted to bring this up is because this is kind of groundbreaking. We're approaching the next generation of gaming. We're looking at the PS5 potentially in my presence anytime soon, right?
And Xbox One and Xbox Series X in your presence as well, but continue.
Xbox, yes, right. And we're getting a game that is, it's coming out on the Wii and the PS3. What is this? What is this all about? First off, the game looks dope. It looks really fun, and it should easily be able to play on the Wii and the PS3. But they're still releasing games for this that isn't Just Dance, bro.
Yeah, so I think that the PS3 version of the game, that there's a chance that could be the last PS3 game ever as a download for folks. And I know that the Wii version, they're gonna have physical copies of that. And I reviewed the game a little bit ago, and it was a follow up to Retro City Rampage. And I think ultimately Retro City Rampage was a better game. less repetitive than Shakedown Hawaii, but this is still a really good game. It's still a lot of fun to be had, and the fact that you can get that on a on a system that are now considered old, man, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, what the PS3 came out when 2009, right? Something like that, somewhere around there,
Yeah, something like that, man.
something like that. So I mean, that was we're looking at 11 years ago, almost 12 years ago. This system came out, and they're still getting new titles. So um, there's no Xbox 360 release though.
Not as far as I know, at least not yet. But the way that he's been going, I
Hey,
would, you know.
Hey, I was not trying to slight Xbox right there, I promise. So yeah, go to playlegit.net and check out KJ's review on Shakedown Hawaii. And if you're playing on a Wii or you're playing on a PS3, go ahead and get that picked up. You said there's a physical version for the Wii, and then you can get that more than likely the final downloadable title on the PS3. So check that out. Shakedown Hawaii, available for all you last geners out there.
And we'll link the review too, so y'all can see what you're getting into there.
Yes, sir. So let's keep things moving, man. Let's get into one of our favorite segments here on the podcast. It is our recognize segment of the show. That's when we get into our indie spotlight and highlight an indie title. But this time, we're actually going to be going over Nintendo's Indie World presentation because they dropped a whole bunch of indie titles that they're going to be releasing sometime soon. Some of them are out already, um, but others are coming out sometime in the near future, depending on, you know, the whole situation that's going on right now. There's tons of games that they announced. 12 over 24 titles that they announced at the showcase. Some of them we just kind of got like a brief visual of what the game is. Some of them we actually got to see a decent amount of gameplay. One game that is set to release, it's what they launched the whole showcase with. We briefly got to see a look at Hades. It almost has like that Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles style art to it. But it is, in my opinion, it was probably one of the standout titles that they actually show during the whole showcase here. It's an action adventure role playing game. So it's by Super
Roguelike.
Giant. Right, roguelike, and it's like So it's by Supergiant Games, and I mean, in my opinion, I thought it was pretty cool. Just like the art style, the environments, the main character with his weaponry and stuff, and then just like the different characters that they bring in. So I believe it's like I don't want to say Greek mythology. I believe it's like a Greek mythology type thing, where they have different characters that come in from that ethos that you encounter. It looked pretty cool from what I've seen. We didn't get to see too much from it, but I thought that was an eye opener and an eye catcher, especially to start the show out with.
What I saw was because they made that same company, they did Bastion from a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and the game speed and the camera angle and everything reminded me of like a successor to Bastion. So if they can, Bastion had really good gameplay, and I liked the arrangement of weapons that were available in that game. So if they can kind of harness that and improve on it and add more things, that's basically what I saw is just like a nice follow up to Bastion.
Mm. Yeah, and then they have another title another one that kind of stood out, at least to me, was Spiritfarer, and that one is actually available now. It dropped the day of the event, uh, and it caught my attention because there was kind of like an anime style animation that they played, but basically you're what they call a spirit farer, I believe, and you're basically helping guide spirits to the afterlife. So it's like spirits of like different animals. So you have like the ship, and it's a management game, so you have to like manage your ship, manage the people, your cargo, and where you're bringing people. But then you can also kind of like free roam and do some adventuring as well out there. So I really like management games. I'm like really big into like real-time strategy and like management, and even like simulation games and stuff like that. So this game really was one that really caught my eye, especially with like the art style in the game as well. Anything that has like a different like kind of like build mode and stuff is something that I definitely like. So this was one that stood out to me, and it's one, if I had a Switch right now, which I might have to just pull the trigger and pick up a Switch after maybe for my birthday next month, um and get this title, because it looked like it, especially on the Switch, when you can kind of like pick it up and bring it with you anywhere you go. This is, a management type game, is one of those games you can really thoroughly enjoy on the Switch. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Well, the
um
deal is that is what you just said is the reason why I bought the Switch as early as I did, before all this the strong major third party support and all they have a heavy lineup now, but uh, the big reason was because I love indie gaming so much, and the fact that I'm able to play that same game that's available on the other systems. It's pretty much, these indie games are pretty much right now going to look the same on every platform for the most part, and perform pretty much the same on every platform. So the fact that you can just take that with you, I said, man, that is going to be really a cool look. So yeah.
yeah, I mean honestly, it really is, and that's probably the one feature of the Nintendo Switch that still, even though they don't have the graphic capabilities of some of the other consoles, I mean, it still puts it in a league of its own and kind of ahead of the competition. And you can even see other companies trying to devise plans of how they can somehow get their operating systems or have peripherals that are mobile that you could bring with them, whether they're using like phones like Xbox and stuff like that or whatever. But it's not how the Switch is. So they got that. I mean, there's so many titles that came out. Like I said, they announced 24. I'll go through the list really quick, and I'll kind of point out some of the ones that I really like. So of course, Hades we talked about. Hypnospace Outlaw is another one. Spiritfarer was one again that I thought stood out to me. We have Garden Story, Subnautica.
So hang on, with Garden Story, I thought that maybe that one would really stand out to you because that's like a Harvest Moon.
Yeah, I mean the team behind it. I mean it did look pretty fun. Um, I mean, it looks good. I maybe want to see a little bit more from it, but that is a type of game that I do like. It didn't necessarily stand out the most to me. I definitely kind of appreciated where they were coming from with the title. Um, but yeah, for I don't know what it was, but it didn't really grasp me how I thought maybe that style of game would. Maybe once I see a little bit more from it, maybe my mind will change. But right now, it's still in development. It's looking at like sometime in 2021 the game will come out. With COVID, we don't really know.
They
It could.
said the PlayStation version, there's going to be an exclusive plant that only I'm playing. I'm
Looking
playing.
exclusive. It'll have spider webs on it, and
Yeah.
that would be funny. No, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like I said, I kind of want to see a little bit more from it, but it didn't really catch my eye the way I thought maybe it would have. Now when it comes to Subnautica, come on, I'm not sure the difference between. I know one's like all right, so below zero, excuse me.
That's the
Is
sequel, right?
yep. Underwater adventure on an alien planet. So I mean, it looks all right. The play style is. I mean, it could be fun. It almost looks like a light version of No Man's Sky. But I mean, what do I know? Uh, it's for me. I'm not really. I wasn't really feeling it that much. It may be a good title, but Subnautica wasn't really one that really caught my eye too much. Really, to be real, I mean, Raji was one that I thought looked good. Um,
Yes.
Raji, I thought was. I mean, Raji may have
Your
been
favorite?
not favorite, but it's up there. Um, just because like this, I don't know, the artwork, the play style, and kind of like I've really been like getting into like, I don't know, that just ancient India we haven't really seen too much from, and it's kind of a setting that has been kind of popping up more recently, and I just thought it looks kind of beautiful. The story seems very compelling. And for it to be an indie game, it's really just something that it really just it intrigued me. So, and you can pick it up from the eShop now. So, I mean, it kind of gives you
Well,
another.
I can.
Well, yeah. Well, you can, and so you could pick it up from the eShop because it just came out. It's kind of big though, so hopefully you got 6 gigs available. But I like multifaceted, games like that where you have like slight action. It's an adventure. There's different like puzzles and things to solve. You know what I mean? But then,
Hmm.
but then the environments, they look really cool. And this game is just one of those games that just it really stuck out, and it's relatively cheap. KJ, it's $22.50, man. So
You see why I keep saying, man, this is why indie game. I'm getting just a smorgasbord of deals. I'm getting unique experiences. I'm done with the first person going through evil soldiers in every game. I'm done with. I just need new stuff, man. I need new stuff, and that's why I like the indie games so much because you've ran through several games where they're doing concepts that are either have been neglected for a long time
mm,
or just brand new stuff. It's really cool, man. They're really changing the game. This is the future here. This is why I take these type of conferences so serious because you're looking at the future.
mm. Yeah, and then like I mean, look at Red Lantern. This is a game about sled dogs. And you have sled dogs in this game. Like where are you going to see this happen? Only in indies, because majors wouldn't even take the risk with this. But like I said, I like simulation games. It survived the Alaskan tundra and a story-driven survival adventure game as you find your way home with your sled dogs. Gotta find your way home. You got 5 sled dogs. You got to make sure they stay fed. You get you have heat and shelter and all of that stuff. So I mean, I would never do that in real life, so it would be cool to simulate it in a nice indie game. So, I mean, that comes out fall 2020. Sometime if it doesn't get delayed. It's rated teen, so you already know you're going to be out here killing animals for your survival. So, enjoy Red Lantern. That's another one. That's some more heat for you. And then we got, I mean, Card Shark is like, Torchlight. Did you have an opinion on Torchlight at all?
The Torchlight series is a really good action RPG series. I put it up there. In my opinion, I think it's up there with Diablo in terms of quality and fun and all that. So yeah, I think Torchlight 3 would probably be my absolute grab from this lineup so far.
Mm. And then another one that looks pretty dope in my opinion. It's up to 2 players. It is Haven. Art style looks really dope. I'm liking seeing a lot more of these main characters having, some darker shades in their skin tone, which is pretty cool. Been seeing a lot more of that recently, which I appreciate. Shout out to y'all. So yeah, I mean, it's an RPG adventure about love and freedom to play solo or co-op with a special someone, right? So for you lovebirds out there that have been trying to game with your lady or your significant other, your whoever it may be, you got a nice little indie title to play a game with, or to even convince them to play. So I mean, it's like, oh, all you do is play video games. It's like, babe, I got you. Let's play
Come on,
Haven.
play with me, girl.
Come on, play, baby. We playing Haven. I'll even let you be the guy if you feeling like you. I don't know. Never mind.
I ain't
But
gonna touch that. You
I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah. But that looks cool, and the art style looks really dope too. And like it's like just being able to play with play with someone else. It looks like there's even a card game in here where they're playing like some sort of like strip card game or something. I don't know. What's this game rated? This is rated T for teen, for partial nudity and sexual themes. So yeah,
This
go
is
ahead.
on a Nintendo system now.
This is on Nintendo. This is 2 teen titles on Nintendo. So if you're trying to get your significant other into gaming, go ahead and try this RPG adventure about love and freedom with your baby. Haven,
I
available sometime in 2020. I don't know.
I got the
I would.
slogan for the game. Haven, get it popping. There you go.
I think that's selling. That's selling titles right there. So yeah. So other than that, I mean, there's tons of other games that came out. I guess here, let's just go through the whole
I got
list.
one more that stood out to me is a Takashi and Hiroshi. That is an RPG that was out already on iOS on the Apple Arcade, and
Mm.
it just looked like I just really was digging the art style, and it also had like a classic RPG battle system, and yeah, I really want to play that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. The art style is really sick with this too. The
Hmm.
puppetoon, yeah, yeah, it looks
Yeah,
sick.
that's cool,
Yeah,
man.
I didn't know this was out on. They had this on the Apple Arcade. That's pretty dope. But now you can get it for $8.09 if you buy it digital right now. So KJ, $8. Just so you know, man.
Yeah, I would definitely do that because it's not a subscription. You'll have it forever. So
Mm.
hey, if I had to choose between that and Apple Arcade, that's just where I'm at because I don't have Apple Arcade. I think you do, right? But
Ooh, not at the moment. But I've experienced it. It's not bad. It's not horrible. Honestly, it might
okay.
even be better than it was before. But yeah. Yeah, that's definitely like $5 a month. And when I noticed that I wasn't playing games as much, I was like, I'm not gonna just be paying $5 a month to potentially play a game once this month. So
My hands are too big for that, man. If I'm gonna get Apple Arcade, I gotta work something out, man. I gotta get a controller or something because it's just my hands are sliding all over the place on this thing. I need a
Yeah,
controller, man.
yeah. If you got an extra PS4 or an Xbox controller, you could sync it to your phone via Bluetooth and play it on your phone or on your, if you got an iPad or even the Apple TV, you could link it up with. So, I mean, they have options. It's just, you know, you really trying to do all that is the real question. So, but yeah, so that is the recognized portion of the podcast. If you guys want a thorough list of all of the titles that came out, please check out the description of the video because we'll have that there. And then also we potentially will have that up on the site for you too, just so you can find all the titles with links potentially to the eShop if they're out already. But moving on, we're going to take a break, actually. I think this is going to make a good time for a break because then we can come back with the final two segments, my review and our conversation about what's gone down with Apple, Google Play, and Epic Games. But before we do that, we just got to take a slight break. So we will be right back after a word from our sponsors.
And this is such a positive message right here. So just listen to this awesome ad and get yourself something to drink and just enjoy yourself.
And we are back. So now I'm going to get into a review. No, it is not The Last of Us Part 2, but it is a review nonetheless.
I think we've all given up on that at this point.
As we all know, I am a huge fan of Skate, right? Skate 4 was kind of announced adjacently or whatever, and I celebrated. Like, yeah, I put in work. But before that, KJ has been talking to me about a game. Like, hey man, I know Skate's not coming out. I know you probably don't care about Tony Hawk Pro Skater remake, but what about Skater XL? It's all new controls. It's them trying to fill the void that EA isn't providing with the latest rendition of Skate. So I was like, I'm good. Nobody asking for all that. So I had no intentions of picking up the game, and in no way, shape, or form did I pick up the game. But a buddy of mine did, and he was like, "Hey, man, I got this new game. It's called Skater XL. You trying to try it out?" And I was like, imagine that. Look at how the universe is working, huh? They really want me to try this game. KJ was poking at me about it, and now my buddy's like, "Hey, it's here. You have access to it. Come try it. I don't even live far from you." So I went over and I got my hand on the sticks. I played Skater XL for about a good hour and a half, 2 hours or so, and I must say it's not bad. It was okay. So the game itself is incredibly limited. So it's not like, I mean, there's little challenges. There's challenges, basically just challenges that you can, like goals you can achieve by just skating around within the game, right? There's not like challenges where it's like, oh, you have to compete against this person, and there's no like game of skate or anything like that. All you really do is you pick different spots. They have different spots that you can go to, parks and uh, skate parks and street spots, and even spots that are kind of like competition spots with mega ramps and stuff like that. So spot wise, they have some pretty decent spots. Whatever you're really trying to skate, you can do. Control wise, right? Because you have the spots, but now to skate these spots, how is it to skate these spots? There is a learning curve to this, right? I feel like if you actually skateboard and you are relatively good at skateboarding and you know how your feet have to be positioned and how you have to move your feet to do certain tricks and then also move your body to do certain tricks, then you can pick this game up. If you don't know how to skateboard at all and you're just like, I want to figure this game out, it might take you a little bit longer, right? An issue my buddy had was he was like he likes skateboarding games, he even likes skating, but his skill level isn't, it's not like super high, you know what I mean? So for him, he like really was like he was not really feeling the game at all just because he felt it was incredibly hard to learn how to do stuff, right? Me, on the other hand, I'm for one, um, I'm a gamer, so like I play video games. I'm accustomed to different control settings and things like that. But then I'm also a skateboarder that is a relatively good skateboarder. You know what I mean? I have an arsenal of tricks that I know how to do, right? So when I got the controller, I was like, huh, this is kind of weird. To turn your body, you have to use the triggers to go left and right. Then you have to use the analog sticks. One's your front foot, the other one's your back foot. So you have to like pop and like control them as if they're your actual feet, opposed to even skate controls, which I would say are a lot easier, or Tony Hawk controls, which is like the most elementary way to skateboard in a video game. It was actually probably the most true to life control setting for skateboarding. Now, with that said, does that make it the most fun? No, but it does make it challenging. And I found myself like, man, I want to do a nose blunt, like a kickflip nose blunt on this hubba, and I'm like, it took me a while to do it, right? As if like I like when if you're really skateboarding, it takes you multiple tries until you either have the muscle memory to do it all of the time, or you land it once and then you're like, okay, that's good. I'm gonna save this clip because there's no way that I'm gonna do this again. So in my opinion, it's probably the most true to life video game, skateboarding video game that I've played. Um, it made me honestly like it made me want to keep playing because I after I achieved like the goal of landing a trick, I was like, all right, so what's the next thing I'm gonna throw down this hubba, or you know, what am I gonna try to learn how to do off this fly box or something like that. So I found myself actually being like almost getting kind of hooked in a way, right? Um, so for it being really just a sandbox skateboarding game with different spots that you can go into, for the price of the game coming in at $40, with there not being many modes. Yes, you can create characters. There's different sponsored gear like shoes and clothing and hats and stuff in there. So of course you want to be able to pay them. So $40 is understandable. But what you get in the game, I'd say maybe if it was like a $29.99 title, I would easily pick the game up. With it being at $40, even the extra $10, I'm like, I don't know if I really want to spend that much money. But overall, as a game, if they add more to the game over time, different modes, multiplayers, and things like that, it could potentially be a very good game. Um, Definitely potentially could lead to even esports competitions with the level of skill that you can obtain based off of the entry level skill set that people come in with, right? You could become very, very good at this game to make it worth being a professional in this game. So overall, with that said, based off of the controls that I enjoyed, even though they are difficult and they take a little bit for me personally, I appreciated the the realism in comparison to actual skateboarding. So I like the controls. Graphic wise, it definitely could look a lot better. I didn't like the character models at all. I thought the character models looked very bad in my opinion, especially when they're not on the board. They almost look like oddly shaped and deformed. So I didn't like that at all. The spots I thought were nice. Definitely could have more spots. Um, and then with the lack of game modes and no multiplayer and things like that, um, there's definitely a lot that they could bring to the game. Um, but looking at it with foresight, they could potentially make this game be a staple, maybe even surpass Skate if they play their cards right and they handle this the right way. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give Skater XL a 3 out of 5.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, the deal is they put the game out, it hits the store shelves. So we're going to review it on that and not on the maybe what's coming down the pipeline or something that they're cooking up. No, y'all decided to release the game. So we're going to review it based on what you gave to us. So there it is. Thanks, man. And it's better than you thought it would be, too. I know
It
that.
yeah, it really is. And honestly, it's the game mechanics. And I know a lot of people, and I'm going to look at reviews and I'm going to see what other people think about this. I never do that when I know I'm going to be doing a review. I don't look at reviews because I don't want that to, influence me or taint my opinion. But I'm curious to see what people think about the controls of the game, especially from people that don't skateboard that played this game. I'm curious to see how they feel about it because it's frustrating. It is frustrating. But as a skateboarder and like just going back in my mind, I was like, dude, I didn't learn how to do a heel flip, right away, and there's been tons of games, even with Skate, it was just like I could pick it up and it's like, oh, heel flip, like easily, and it's not easy like that with this game.
Is this a fair statement to make? Skater XL is basically the rocksmith of skateboarding games.
Yes, that's fair. Yes.
Cool.
Yes, it is the rocksmith of skateboarding games. That's right. And skate is the Guitar Hero almost. That almost doesn't seem fair, but I'll leave that there. It's the Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero influenced tons of people to actually learn how to play the guitar. So I think that's fair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, 3. I mean, I think that's fair. It could definitely have a higher score if there is more that they added to the game. They definitely have to do something about the graphics. But I felt like giving it a 2.5 would slight it. So I'm going with the 3 all day.
And I also want to throw something your way too. I've been looking at, because people who pre-ordered Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 HD, people who pre-ordered that, they were given that the hanger level, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching videos of that. I'm telling you, tripping, Koerri, because the graphics and everything, it's looking so much fun. Here's what I want. I want you to look at some gameplay videos of people playing that. And then on the next week's podcast, I want your thoughts on it, because I think you've been misinformed.
I mean, I just know I didn't ask for it, but I'll do it. I got you. I'll check it out.
Because I'm watching, I'm like, man, they cooking with fire right now. So you missing out.
All right, I'll check it out, and yeah, we'll talk about that next week for sure. But moving on to the final segment of the show, and this is going to be a nice one. This is going to be fun. Apple, Google Play, and Epic Games. The epic battle of Fortnite mobile. It heats up, this war between these companies, man. So Epic Games, pretty much, they were like, hey, we're gonna lower the prices of our VC and cut you out of getting a cut of the money. And Apple was like, oh, word, get the heck out of our app store, and just basically just yeeted them straight off the App Store. Shortly after, followed by Google Play as well. Google was like, wait, what are you doing? Oh, we don't even ever pay attention to anything, but Apple did it, so we're going to just copy them again. Yeet! And yeeted them out of here too. So now there's tons of negotiation going on. Epic Games thought, I guess, maybe they could finesse some extra millions or something like that. What's your take on the whole thing?
Yeah, they basically violated the terms of agreement with Apple. They basically cut Apple out of getting their cut, and the Apple Store is hosting them. So it's like if you're staying at a hotel, but you're not paying to to sleep there every night. That's basically what was going on there.
Mm. Yeah, so I pulled up an article here from Vox, and I just want to kind of run down briefly what they wrote here, because I don't want to get sued for putting out misinformation or anything. So we're gonna quote what this article says.
There you go.
So this is from the Vox article, open source. Apple's App Store war against developers and its ongoing antitrust issues appear to be coming to a head. Epic Games, the creator of the hugely popular game Fortnite, is suing the company, claiming that its App Store practices violate the Sherman Act. Epic says that Apple's requirement that all mobile apps come through its App Store and the 30% commission Apple charges for app sales and in-app purchases is a monopoly, and that Epic, as well as its fellow developers and their customers, should have alternatives. Apple, a $2 trillion company, has not only refused to consider changing its lucrative business model, but it's also kicked Fortnite out of its App Store. I feel kind of weird reading this now, because this is clearly slanted against Apple. Maybe because they're the bigger company. I don't know. It is what it is.
Right.
Whatever.
And what I'm telling you, whether we agree with the cut or not, rules are rules. And it's like, if y'all gonna partake in having your business in the house of Apple, you need to follow the direction and follow the terms. You may not like it, but if you're gonna jump in, you're gonna have to follow it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's all
a business.
branding. Yeah, it's a business and it's branding. It's like you're not gonna have someone stay in your house that goes against everything that you represent, because people are gonna think that you represent that as well then, right? So that's it. It's common business practice, you would assume. I mean, except for some companies like the Google Play Store, that one gets kind of funny because it's so easy to get stuff up on Google Play. For them to be like, you have to leave, is kind of weird, because they like literally you can have 17 apps that will give you viruses downloaded from the Google Play Store, and it's like nothing. Like Apple has always had like the App Store locked down with the reputation, and they have like a system where they approve the apps that are going to be on the App Store. So like if you didn't get through their initial approval process, you wouldn't have been there in the first place. So like if they really wanted to, you could have never even been on the App Store, but they were giving you the opportunity to be there because you agreed to their terms and you created content that fit within their image that they want to have on the App Store, you know? I mean, they even do that with podcasts and things like that. Like everything that ends up on any kind of Apple platform is
Play
approved
Legit
by
podcast
Apple.
available on iTunes.
It seems like we are checking boxes, man. I mean, it is what it is. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So I think it's funny that they're trying to now, and it almost seems like Vox, and I'm not saying that that's what they're doing, but it appears like Vox is on the side of Epic. But Epic makes what, $1 million a month, more multiples of millions of dollars a month off of Fortnite based off of microtransactions, and somehow they're the moral authority in the whole situation. Like I mean, because they're having people that are robbing people for V-Bucks because I definitely had my Nintendo account hacked and had $200 pulled from my account so someone in Iraq could buy V-Bucks. That happened to me, as well as kids, using their parents' credit cards and all of this stuff for this game that they are addicted to. Like, these people are the moral authority? The people that developed the game with psychologists that somehow is has created a black market for people to rob people's identities. These people are the moral authority. I mean, I don't know. It's fun. It's fishy. You guys have the money to pay them. I know you're trying to do these brand deals to bring the Avengers and stuff back into Fortnite. It's cool. Like, I get it. You're trying to come up, but I mean, an agreement's an agreement, and if you break the agreement, you're gonna get yeeted. That's
That's the
how it
thing.
goes,
At the end of the day, it's a business, and y'all need to play ball or sit on the sidelines like you're doing right now.
right? Yeah, I mean, you always have the option to develop and sell your own phone or tablet and sell that to people where people have access to download Fortnite. Like, I don't get the argument where they're like, it's not fair that people can't just download our stuff onto their device. Like, I suppose, but people also know, like, if you buy an iPhone, that you're not just going to be able to just download miscellaneous things onto your device. It's one of the things that you go in as a consumer knowing. You guys knew that before you developed your game. You knew that you would have to go through their market, and you still decided that's what you wanted to do. So after making that decision and then agreeing to the agreement that you did, and then changing your mind halfway through or whatever, and then you just decide to say, oh, forget the agreement, we're just gonna do whatever we want to, and then if you don't like it, we're gonna demonize you. That makes me look at you, Epic, like, what's your deal? Who's making decisions over there? Because you seem kind of childish. But it's weird. I think they just need to pony up and either decide not to be on the platform, which, I mean, I understand. I mean, there's a billion hands that iPhones are in. You want people to have access to your stuff, but also, I mean, you got to pay to play. So,
Yeah, basically, what's going to happen here, and it might even be the day this podcast drops, because there's so much money going on in this, there will be some type of deal made between Apple and Epic and Google and Epic as well. Like, something will get worked out, because this is so much money. And this is very different, but I'm still going to use this example. When I'm talking about Spider-Man 3, remember how they were fighting over the licensing again? With Sony and Disney, about whether they're going to actually have the Spider-Man 3 in the way that we were expecting it with Tom Holland and all that.
yeah,
And for a while, it looked very bleak, right? All the
yeah, like,
news was very negative.
it was like a week or two or something, and then
But
Tom Holland cried and made a phone call.
see, Tom Holland's tears changed it all. No, but what I'm saying is that that's such a lucrative franchise, and they know that. So they're like, okay, let's get something going. Let's work it out. And obviously, we're gonna have Spider-Man 3 in the way that we're expecting to have it. So that's what I use that example, because that's what's gonna happen here. Something will get worked out, because there is money to be made, and big money.
Huge money. You're right, man. You are right. There's money to be made, and these corporations are going to figure out how it's going to happen. It's not a political thing, right? If this was a political thing, I'd be like, oh, there's no way there's ever going to come to a resolution. But no, this is just people trying to make as much money as possible. So they're going to figure out what they have to do to make as much money as possible as quick as possible. So I don't think it's going to take that long before an agreement's made. Um, I mean, Apple could I don't know. They could kind of just like they could slap them on the wrist if they wanted to. Like, hey, you violated. You're out of the Play Store for a little bit too. So I mean, we'll see. Or maybe they'll make them pay a bigger cut. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of money to be made. But yeah, man, we want to know what you guys think. Do you think Fortnite's coming back to the Play Store? Do you think it's coming back to the App Store? Or do you think that Epic should just be like, all right, forget you guys. We're making our own phone. We're just going to set aside one of these $1 million every month and then, develop our own system. Or maybe they'll even partner up with a different company and exclusively have Epic on only Android or something like that for some sort of a deal. That seems to be a thing that's going on with corporations nowadays as well. Regardless, Epic is going to end up with a bag, regardless of what they decide to do. That is the end game. But I want to hear what you guys think. Hit us up in the comments down below or tweet at us at PlayLegit on Twitter.
That's right.
Or you could hit me up too at Koerri Elijah and let me know what you think. But man, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the podcast. This was great. This is episode number 25. That means next week we are halfway through a year's worth of podcasts for you guys, and we're going to keep it going. Don't even worry. Next week we have a lot to talk about for you guys. KJ is going to be reviewing the first 2 episodes of High Score on Netflix. If you haven't checked out High Score, go ahead, check that out, and come back and you'll hear our thoughts. KJ is going to have his full review on that. I'll probably let you know what I think about it a little bit as well. But KJ is going to hit you with that score, so make sure you come back next week to hear about that.
Yeah, we'll see if it's a high score or not. I'll let you know.
That's right. And me, I'm going to check out some footage of Tony Hawk remade, whatever it is, 1 and 2 to see if it's really worth the hype like KJ.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
So I'll check that out. So next week, make sure you stay tuned for that, as well as a bunch of other things that we'll be talking about on the podcast. You already know we always are going to have our recognized segment talking about indie games because that's what we love here at Play Legit. But before we go, please make sure you check out playlegit.net. That's the home, that's the hub. That's where you're going to find everything legit when it comes to gaming and real talk, as well as subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow us on Spotify and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Play Legit Network. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when the podcast as well as all of our other content is uploaded. But until then, I have been your host, Koerri Elijah, here with my great co-host, KJ, and we're out. We'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.